Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, and welcome to Fantasia Film Festival's world premiere of For the Sake of Vicious. Like, what is there not to love about this film? You know, it's Halloween, it's action-packed, there's gore, there's motorcycle assassins, Laura Burke's kicking ass, the soundtrack is amazing, and of course it's a Canadian film and totally DIY. And not only is it all of these things wrapped together, it's also really well executed by two madmen, Reese, Eveneshen, and Gabriel. So they're going to be coming and joining us in just a moment or two. But my name is Justin Langlois, and it is my pleasure to invite them and the cast to come to a Q&A. Get your questions ready. We'll be answering them in just 2 seconds. So everybody, come on in. We have Avi Federgreen, James Fler, Lora Burke, Nick Smyth, Colin Paradine, and Reese and Gabriel too. Of course. And he's got the helmet on. There's Lora.
Now he's wearing it. Oh, he's not.
So guys, firstly, congratulations on your world premiere. It's, again, what else can you say about it? It's got everything that you want in the film, I would say. And how are you all doing before we get going about the film?
I mean, we're doing great. We were lucky enough, we watched it in Gabe's basement. He's got a projector set up down here, so we watched it on the wall. And that's the biggest screen we've been able to watch it on so far. So it's kind of like watching it for the first time. And we were both like, holy shit, this movie is way more violent than we thought it was.
And it was the first time for Colin, Nick, and also, was it Laura's first time too?
Yeah.
James, was it yours? You've seen it before, right?
You know, I've seen it. Yeah. We saw it.
What do you guys think?
Are we like in the world right now? My friends in the living room are trying to find us and they can't.
Well, maybe it's not uploaded to YouTube yet?
Yeah. It just says people waiting, but
well, it should be live. I know we're live on the Skype, so people can start punching in their questions, and we'll take them a little bit later. But
all right.
Yeah. So we have the tech guys saying they're looking into it, but no worries. It's probably broadcasting in a second. There's just a delay, I'm sure. But like, what did you guys think? Nick, what did you think about it?
Well, I was just blown away by it. You have an expectation of what you want it to be and what you think it's going to be in your head, and then you just see it. And luckily, it just exceeded my expectation. I was completely blown away. I was just so happy for the directors, and like the soundtrack was kick-ass, and I was just psyched. So impressed.
What about you, Lora?
Yeah. I think every film that I've done recently, like I've never seen them until, the premiere. I don't know, and you're always kind of busy watching your own actory thing, and we should have done this and should have done that. I was able to just watch it as a film and enjoy it. And the soundtrack, Gabe.
So good.
Wow.
So good.
It was like, honestly, like the heartbeat of the film. It was, yeah, amazing.
Oh, shucks.
And I think there's a star. I'm a bit worried about a star that's not joining us today, or like at least a cast member. Is the house okay?
No, the house is definitely not okay. The house is gone now. The house is a patch of dirt and grass. So.
Oh no!
You killed the house.
Yeah, we definitely killed the house. We killed it 3 times over. It's a very bad house. So.
We drove by there together, I think, like a week ago, and there's just a chain mesh fence, and it's an empty lot.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Yeah.
That house was good to us.
Tear. Yeah. So it was a DIY production. Like how you guys did it yourself. It was like really, you got in there and got your hands dirty. How dirty did you get your hands in the sense of like, I know you guys moved things. There were some repairs, so you guys got really dirty, or some of the cast got really dirty. Can you tell us some stories about you guys just getting in there and doing filmmaking on your own terms and doing it yourself?
Oh boy. Start us off.
Well, it's, I think Laura Burke once said it on set, on the smaller films and stuff that she's been on, it's like camp, you're all there together, and, the house is like your campsite. You go in, you shoot it, and we had a trailer that we all used, and that turned into a mountain pot of insanity. But yeah, I mean, we all had different hands on deck, and we did, all the furniture you saw in the film we brought in ourselves, the fridge, the stove, the carpet was ripped up, the walls were painted, floors were painted,
The tub was brought up.
the tub was brought up, the cast, and that's just like in the film for a little bit, and that was a huge ordeal. That took about a day to bring up, just between Reese and I. He busted his hand. We got it all on camera. It'll be up behind the scenes somewhere. It's pretty funny.
But yeah, I mean, we definitely got our hands dirty. I mean, between all the fake blood and grass and dirt, and at one point the toilet upstairs, our only working toilet, flooded and started leaking down into the kitchen. All this piss and shit water just raining down onto my script, and I was up there with duct tape, taping it up, and Phil's outside building the fence. Just usual stuff,
And I just love watching like the cast's faces when you're talking about this story, and it's like, oh wow, like everyone's kind of cringing, like, oh no, that.
I didn't know about the piss and shit. Just to say, like, I did not know.
You didn't know that part?
No.
That bathroom was clogged like half the time, though. Half the time that bathroom wasn't even working.
Got a lot of use.
It was like camp.
Yeah, it's like camp.
It was like camp.
So my question then is for the cast, like how physically grueling was it? Because it looked like pretty hardcore. Some of those like stunts and some of those, the acting, like how grueling was the actual set physically?
Very.
Get that one?
It's hard for me to speak for everybody else because I had it easy compared to these guys. I was strapped to a chair for 75% of the movie. So, for me, it wasn't that bad, but, and I wasn't present. I couldn't be present for any of the fight scenes that Nick and Lora took place in. So I didn't even get to see a third of what it was that they were going through. And then just watching it now, seeing what they did, it's a whole new respect for them. So hats off to you guys for, kicking ass, literally. It was amazing. Amazing.
I mean, it was, I'm sure Laura could agree with this one. Like, it was really grueling at times. But the stunt team that we had on this one, I mean, who also played like the masked men in this, like they were just so good with us. And because we're not trained stunt people, but working with those guys, they just made us look so good. I mean, it goes all to them, really.
Yeah.
And kept it safe. Like it was always very like we were all gung ho, but they really did keep us safe the whole time. Right?
Did you come away with any bruises or anything like that? I know I had a dent in my forehead for like 4 months after.
So there was a couple of bruises, but for the most part, we were good.
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks, Adam, TJ, Nick, and Boris. You did good. You did good.
It's funny because like Laura's personality right now is what I remember. She was on set. She was just like up for anything. Just literally, I was there. That was like, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
she's tough.
Yeah.
And that definitely translates to the screen. Like you're so badass in that film. It's crazy.
Thanks. I got to hit TJ over the head with a toilet seat. Back of a toilet. That was the highlight of my shoot.
A real toilet, no less. Not a prop one, a real one.
And I hit him so gently, and he had the motorcycle helmet on, and I just kind of tapped him. He's like, Laura, come on, hit me. Like, oh, okay.
And that's the kind of guys that these guys were. Like they just wanted. It was like if they held back an inch, it would show on screen. And it was the kind of movie where you had to just be all in. And these guys were all in, and they're just so badass.
The stunt team reminded me of the guys that Michael Bay would want to work with because they just never complained.
Yeah.
And like it almost seemed like they were like hired like ex-military guys. Like that's what it felt like when they came to set. It's like this was like nothing to them. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like they could take everything. That's what it felt like when they.
By far the coolest guys on set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost felt like we were protected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very protected. Yeah. If anybody broke into that house, that would have been the end.
So you guys, like, I think we can all agree how brutal and like intense the film is. Like, how did you guys come up with? Where did you guys come up with this concept for this film? Like, where is it Halloween? Was there like a newscast of some crazy thing going on? Like, where did you come up with this concept?
You want me to take it away?
You guys start with Mallrats?
I'm gonna start with mall rats. Gabe and I are mall rats. We love going to the mall. We love going to the mall specifically. We love going there, shooting the shit, gossiping, talking about movie ideas. We've been doing this for over 10 years now. And he just caught me one day and started pitching this idea that's very different than the movie it is now. Took place in the summer, took place over 3 days, took place during a blackout. A SWAT team invades the house at the end. But there was something about it that I was really attracted to. And it was the idea of these 3 different characters with such radically different beliefs and viewpoints. And I said, can I write this? Like, I think this could be really cool. And then over the course of time, it started developing. And then when Raven Banner got involved, James, and especially when Abby got involved, we all worked together and we kind of shaped it into what it is now. But talk about the Halloween element of it.
The Halloween element was like, I think we were originally supposed to shoot in the summer. And then, we just kind of, as normal things, you just push it back a little bit. And then it became, like an October shoot. And then we were like, you know what, why don't we put some other themes in it? Like, let's take it place on Halloween night. Then we can get away with a little bit more craziness, because if it's on Halloween night, people are having Halloween parties, they have that Halloween scary music happening, you got trick-or-treaters, so it kind of gives you an excuse to kind of over the top of the action, have the neighbors calling the cops. So that was another thing. And plus, Halloween enabled us to have some cool lighting with the orange and then, almost like an aesthetic kind of like theme involved.
Halloween's just cool. So,
Yeah.
The idea of, the idea of putting it all on Halloween, I was like, it kind of fulfilled that fantasy of being able to do a Halloween movie, but not do a Halloween movie at the same time.
Yeah. It was also fun shooting in October.
Yeah.
Because we had like candy bars on set that were like props, like at the front door, there was a bowl of chips that slowly got diminished by crew taking the chips, but we didn't care. It was whatever.
Yeah, it was great.
I loved, like, for me, like, the Halloween was it almost worked on a meta level, because for me, like, just seeing the thrills inside, I just love that ending where, Laura, you step outside and there's the children, and it almost seems like you're stepping outside of a theater for me. And like, you're eating the candy, like you're eating the popcorn, or like, and then you're just taking in like the reality of the situation while the film and all the action of the film and genre kind of transpired. So for me, that's what it said. I just loved that element of it. And I thought it just added a great little tone and a little meta level for film nerds, I would say. But or guys who just read too much into it.
Cool. It was, and it literally was, like, even filming that last scene, it was so hot. We were in, like, the house itself was small, and it felt like that. Like, that last scene, just opening the door, and it was like literally a breath of fresh air, and just like, whoo, like that's in there. And then, yeah, it felt like an outside world. It was a cool last shot.
Amazing. It was amazing. I thought it was just so good. And so we have a bunch of questions here. So let's start with these. Okay. Augustine was screaming, "Give Laura an axe. I saw poor Agnes. I know she can use one." More of a comment, but despite.
I did get a hammer. I got a hammer.
She got a hammer, she got a toilet seat lid.
Yeah.
Just give me all the props. I'll use them.
She had a gun at one point.
He also had a wooden cutting board.
Yeah, a wooden cutting board. Yeah, that's a good one.
And a kettle.
Yeah. Crowbar.
Crowbar, kettle. Yeah, you had. Yeah. You were
Oh,
armed.
vodka.
Vodka, absolutely.
I feel like the cast is kind of groaning as you're saying all these things, like, oh yeah, oh. Sean asks, I was wondering if you could provide further explanation about why the horde of killers were swarming the house, other than the phone call.
Well, Sean, the idea was that the phone call was made to James's character's name was Gerald, who ended up being the guy who did the bad deed that the movie kind of dances over. And they wanted to come in, take Colin's character. So it originally started with the two guys, but as soon as they got offed, it was like, okay, well, now we need backup because clearly there's some crazier shit going on here. So it was never meant to be this big, massive operation. It was just meant to be like a 2 or 3 guy team who comes in, isolates the situation, gets Colin out of the way so James's character can go deal with them. But nobody was anticipating the fact that Nick's character, Chris, was in the house with a loaded gun. So once he took care of that, as you see James's character's like, oh shit, well, okay, I'm going to call in the reinforcements. Thus, the onslaught of guys that come into the house.
And those guys were kind of like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like if they kill you, they kill you. And that's where the film kind of turns into we were talking about like a beer and burger movie.
Yeah.
You know, you got your action, you got your violence elements, and you know, how left turn can you take this?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So Naveen congratulates everybody in the cast. You all did such a spectacular job. How long were you guys in rehearsal? And for the action sequences, was it improvised or found while on set in the moment?
There was like no rehearsal. The rehearsal was like on set, on the day. And that, again, that just is a testament to the incredible stunt team we had. We had anybody, like, if we had anybody other than those guys, I don't think we'd be able to pull it off. But yeah, there was no rehearsal time. A lot of it was like just really organic and going with what they thought was the best. And that's my memory of it anyway.
From what I understand, TJ, the stunt coordinator, and Adam, they both had planned out a lot of the fights. But of course, when you get into the space, that has to change. You know, depending on the actors and the space that you're in and where the cameras could be, everything. So everything changes when you get on set. So yeah, that's where the organic elements sort of came into it, but the fights definitely were planned and choreographed. Yeah. But they planned them and choreographed them to look like random sort of non-fighter fights, right? Which is to me, it's the big selling point of those fights, is that they look completely natural. They're clumsy. They look unplanned. They're all over the place, which I get why you thought that they might be improvised, because they do look that way, and that was completely planned by the stunt coordinators. Yeah. So hats off to them.
Yeah.
They would literally look at things in the room and be like, oh, there's a mirror. Okay, how do we smash that? Oh, there's a TV. How do we do, like, anything that was in the room, how do we take it off the wall and wrap it around someone's face was pretty much.
Yeah. You have to make it clear. I remember them asking questions like, is it okay if we break that? Or, I'm like, everything in this house is getting demolished.
Yeah.
Everything that's in here, including TV, you guys can go nuts on. Any ideas you guys have?
Smyth. Don't break him.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, much like Colin said, our idea from the very beginning, before anything, was that we wanted these fights to feel like a fight that would break out in a bar, because that's what real fights are. They're not, nobody breaks out in a choreographed shit. It's just body slamming into body, sweat, blood, tears, grunts, and that's like the biggest compliment we got. So it's great.
Yeah.
And the mirrors are obviously super easy to break, right? Why didn't you tell us about that?
Some of them are. So there's a mirror in the bottom floor by the front door. It's like a hexagon. It's like a stop sign mirror shaped. Yeah. And we were all pretty confident that it would break because we bought it. I think it was used at Valley Village for like $4. So we had it up, and Nick comes down the stairs, does that hammer thing on the one guy, and then throws him into the mirror, and the mirror breaks. Well, we had to do that like 6 times because whenever he threw Adam into the mirror, not only would it not break, but Adam would bounce off the wall like a trampoline, because the mirror was like beveled out a bit. So we did it once, and I don't know if you guys remember, they kept bouncing off the mirror. And it was just so funny to see a guy being thrown into a mirror on a wall, just bouncing off it. So we did it like 3 or 4 times before TJ was behind the monitor going like, this isn't going to work. Like, we're not going to break this mirror. So we had this like little tool. It went up and like scored the back. He's like, oh, it'll work now. Doesn't work. Adam's just like bouncing off the mirror. We got video of it. Finally, TJ goes and does this little thing on the sides, and that's the shot that made it into the film, obviously.
And the best part was like all this talk beforehand about, okay, guys, if this goes wrong, we've
Yeah.
got a game plan.
Yeah.
So everybody would get super jacked up, and then nothing would happen, and then nothing, and then it finally happened, and it was just like, okay, great, moving on. So.
Yeah, watching Adam bounce off the walls, like, dude, is your shoulder okay? Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. You know,
Yeah,
like by the fourth one, you're like,
I don't think you're okay.
It was painful to watch because he would throw his body weight into that mirror like 6-7 times in a row. And that mirror just wasn't breaking. And God, when it broke, it was so sweet though.
Yeah.
Looked great on camera.
So Benner asks, or he says, firstly, killer flick, everyone. Loved it. Freaking hammer time. Quick question. What was the most challenging scene to the film?
I've got one. You've got one. You
What's
start.
my one? Is it the stairwell one?
Stairwell.
Yeah.
So I think there's like, it's literally sometimes the smallest things that just drive you, like not nuts, but you're like, this will be easy. Like, you know what I mean? So it was a stairwell where Laura's coming down the stairs and she has what did she have in her hand?
She's got the scissors.
Scissors. And Nick is standing there and he's on the frame left. He has the papers and the camera's doing this thing where it starts off and starts pushing back. She's being timed to come down the stairs. The camera's pushing back. Nick is moving into the shot with the papers. And man, I think it was like the second day of shooting.
First day.
First day of shooting. And just the timing on everything just wasn't like either, and it was no one's fault. It was just like something you have to do probably 20 or 30 takes to get. Either, you know, Lora was just around the corner, but the camera was too far back, or Nick, you know, wasn't, it was just that shot. Eventually it was just like, you know what, we probably have one that works. And I think the one that works is fine. But to me, in my brain, what like trying to get out, that was the most trickiest shot out of all of them, I think.
I think the worst scene, the hardest scene to do is the three of them dying in the kitchen at the end of the movie. We had an original ending to the movie, and we ran out of time the day before, and we knew the next day that we were going to have enough, because it was going to be this epic fight between Nick's character and Colin, and they end up in a basement, and then Laura's in the basement. It was crazy.
It's flooded.
And it just, it wasn't going to work. We completely ran out of time. We couldn't make the location the next day. So we had to make up that scene on the spot. It was the second last day of shooting. Everybody's nerves were fried. Everybody was tired. Everybody was angry. And it just was like, you could feel that tension. It was probably one of the worst experiences, for me anyways. I was traumatized. And we had to get out of there fast to get to our next location to shoot something from the beginning of the movie.
So speaking of the shooting time, Lee asks, how many days did it take to shoot?
It was we had 15 days, but we had 3 like offsite days. So
And then there were some days we didn't tell James or Abby about.
yeah. So we're at like 18 or 19 days, but primarily we were 15 days. And there's a lot of stuff that Gabe and I just went and shot with a camera, like it's our hands or it's our clothing.
Or his feet or something. Just
I doubled for Laura and Nick so many times in that edit.
Knew it.
But yeah, it's rough. The bulk of the movie was shot in 15 days. We were in that house for 13 of those 15 days. We shot pretty much in chronological order because we knew we were going to systematically destroy every single part of that house. It was rank by the end, like just foul. So James can tell you that. He had to put his face right on the floor. So.
Oh yeah.
No, that was unpleasant.
what about the gag
Nick
reflex?
accidentally put his finger in my mouth, and when that happened during that fight sequence, everything in the whole house just materialized in my head, and
Back of your throat too.
yeah, that was it wasn't just him, so it's not you, but it was the entire home that was in my mouth, and so yeah, that almost didn't end well.
You
Do we
had
still have that video footage?
Yes.
They have it. I haven't seen it, and I'm sure it'll come out eventually, along with some kind of price tag. So
you had to. That was the James. That was the one. That was the moment we had to actually leave the house, right? You'd like go outside and take a breather.
oh yeah, I had to go outside. Yeah, I had to forget about all of you. Yes, instantly. Yes.
I was sitting next to James and I was spraying blood on him. And there was about 5 seconds there where I'm like, James is gonna vomit on me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get puked on.
I was trying to get the shot, dude. I was trying to hold it out, but there was no cut. You just were enjoying it. Way too
I didn't know you were suffering.
We thought it was. We were like, wow, that's some real
really
acting.
great.
Because in the
What else
middle
he
of the
does?
film, you're like, wait a minute.
He's
He's
driving.
actually,
He drowns.
Yeah, but and I was underneath him while he's dry heaving.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't gonna go well.
The producer of the movie.
And somewhere in my head, I knew it was your fault, so you were getting it all. If it was gonna but it was fine.
Speaking of production, what attracted you, Avi, and James to this project?
Well, I mean, you know, I met James and Reese and Gabe at Fantasia, where I was playing Life Changer, and we were sort of standing outside of the theater after the film, and we were talking about, you know, I had heard good things about both of them from James, because I'd started a long conversation with Raven Banner about trying to, you know, produce some films for them. They had distributed some films of mine previously, and I was really happy with working with them. And so they just sent me the script, and I went, like, I've never done an action movie before, and Life Changer was the first genre movie I'd ever produced too. But you know, I read it and I went, my God, this is going to be a shit-kicking movie. I think that there's a lot of potential here. And, you know, I'd watched a couple of films of theirs, watched what they were able to do with a very small amount of money. And, you know, the point of the kinds of films that I'm making now is the smaller budget genre stuff that I can collaborate with Raven Banner, and collaborate with filmmakers like Reese and Gabe, who, you know, I didn't go to set. I didn't feel like I needed to go to set because I trusted them implicitly. And as a producer, you need to be able to trust implicitly of your director or directors. And plus, I was heavily involved with the casting. And when we were talking about the lead of the film, you know, we had been auditioning a whole bunch of people. And I said to them, look, you know, I mean, have you considered Lora Burke? I said, she's a fucking mind-blowing actress. Like, you got to take a look at her. And you know, if I could make every movie with Lora Burke, I would, because I just think she's just above anybody that I've had the opportunity to work with. I really think that she's one in a million. And then I got to, you know, get to work with Colin and Nick, and both of them, you know, they bring it. They don't pull back. They're professionals. They give everything that they have to it. And I mean, when you're making a movie like that, like this, everybody's in for a pound, and everybody knows what it is. And unless you're a family, you can't make a movie like this. It's impossible. And these people are my family. Like, you know, I would go to war with any of them any day, any time. Like, I just would.
As far as our side, the Raven Banner side, I mean, we have been working with Reese and Gabe since the very, very, very beginning. I mean, we're in our 10th year as far as the sales company, and we've been with these guys since then. Like, yeah, right at the beginning. And so we worked on multiple films with these guys, and Avi. We started working heavily with Avi probably over the past 4 or 5 years, and it's growing great. So, I mean, these kinds of things that we can get involved in as early as possible, it's just, you can help tailor it for sales. You can do all these kinds of things, but the key is that we know these people. And so if you can be circling back and be working with people that you know and you trust, that you're your friends, why would you not do that, right?
And I mean, James said something very important, which is sort of my mantra now, which is, and it's all my films pretty much are with Raven Banner, is that you have to make movies today to sales. Yeah. What do the buyers want? Having the pulse, which with James and Mike and the team at Raven Banner have, they know what the buyers want. There's no point in making a movie if you're never going to be able to sell it. There's no point in a movie that the festivals aren't going to want. There's no point in making a movie that the audience isn't going to want. This movie was designed for sales. And, you know, having Raven Banner involved from at the script stage is really, really important, because they can assess scene by scene what works, what doesn't, how to change it. And we're able to change most of it in the script stage. The edit of this film, and I think, you know, I would love Reese and Gabe to talk about this, but it was not a challenging edit to change things. I mean, for the most part, there was only a couple of places in the film that needed a bit of extra work, but for the most part, the script read like this is not far deviation from the script at all.
No, it's the development, right? Like, it's the development that's important with this stuff. So that way, when we get to the end, you guys can just go kill it and not worry about it, because you have everything that we need, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic, you know, having this you know, this insight and this opinion on making these Canadian films. And I'm just going to do a little plug. Of course, check out Clapboard Jungle about the making of Life Changer, which is an absolutely fantastic documentary that's still, I think, available. I think it's still available for another little while if you buy your tickets soon. But definitely check that out. But I think it's also great. This is the closing night of Fantasia. I think, you know, and we're just so happy to give you guys a platform to show these movies and springboard into all the amazing things that you guys have coming up next. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for being a part of, you know, the festival. It's the closing night. Thank you to everybody who made the festival possible. Yeah, please go on the Discord, it's still open, do some chatting about the film, share your feelings about For the Sake of Vicious. It's phenomenal in my opinion. I'm sure you agree, so please share your opinion on the film and get the word out. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And yeah, I think all that's left to say is, you know, bon cinéma, enjoy the night, enjoy, and we will see you next year for the 25th anniversary of Fantasia.
Well, thank you very much, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Mitch, and everybody from the Fantasia team. It's so all appreciated.
Thank you.
Big hug.
Stay vicious.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Let's hear, until they cut us out, let's have some meows. Can we have some meows?
Meow, meow.
Come on, James. Come on, James.
Not James.
I mean, jump in the deep end. Jump in the deep end.